Hey Rob, do you have any tips for world building if you find yourself getting stuck or don't know where to start? Ooh, very good question. I mean, there's a million things out there, advice for how to start world building. Let's see, what would my world building be? Personally, I find that I just start working on whatever's in front of me, and then I usually find myself getting sucked down a rabbit hole, because that's just how my brain works. Before I know it, I'm working on the sewage system of some hydroponic garden in the middle of forgotten forest somewhere. If you are finding yourself with a writer's block, I guess it comes down to a personal choice for you. Like, you know yourself better than anybody else. Do you find yourself inspired by listening to music? Do you find yourself inspired by reading books, watching other TV and movies and stuff? Do you find yourself inspired by nature and going on a hike, taking yourself in a walk around a particularly isolated woods or something, or whittling, or whatever it is for you? Go and do some of that. Sometimes inspiration for world building stuff doesn't seem to come from anywhere. Sometimes it just strikes you in the middle of a rainy Tuesday. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of cultures throughout time have talked about muses and similar sort of concepts of like artistry and inspiration just like coming to you from nowhere, as if the gods have just plucked it and put it straight in your head. So it's kind of about finding that for yourself. I know myself well enough to know that if I just sit down with a world building document, the biggest problem for me, the highest hurdle, is just actually setting myself the time to just do it, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that, I want to play a video game. But I know that if I just force myself for 10 minutes to just open the document and start doing something, even if it's as boring as admin, I'm just going to go into my Legend Keeper and start organizing stuff. 7 hours will pass and I'll go, shit, I've organized a whole bunch of stuff, and I started building out this town in this middle of this country on a continent that's never been used in any of my games yet, but I'm in deep in it now, because I know that the hurdle for me is the biggest problem, just getting started. So I don't really, without knowing you and how you work, I'm afraid I can't give you exact advice, but just find out what it is for you that gives you that inspiration, and then just go with it and start working. And don't give yourself the necessary, like, I have to start here and I have to get this part fleshed out. If I don't have a working calendar, if I don't have a calendar for my world, then I'm not a real world builder. Fuck that. Like, if you want to use January through December for your world, that's fine. If you want to use dollars and cents for your world because you can't be asked thinking about the economy and how the currency in your world works, that's fine. If you aren't interested in geopolitics of your world, that's fine. If you're not interested in the geology and the geography of your world, and your mountain range has a desert on both sides of it, which is unusual for mountain ranges, but hey, it's a world of magic, surely. You don't have to really explain it. If you play the exact same game with 17 different dungeon masters, you're going to get 17 different games, because one of them is going to be really focused on their own special interest in their own real life is finances. Maybe they're an accountant, maybe they've studied finance, maybe they've studied geopolitics and the economy of various countries, and so they're going to have a fleshed out trade route, and they're going to have like caravans, and they're going to have thought about how the toll as you enter a city, what the implications of there being a toll means, and what are they paying for with that toll? What's this government paying for? Another DM running the exact same module is going to not have any of that fleshed out. They're not going to have thought about that, but they are going to have thought about the rivers and the rivers and the mountains and the trees and exactly like why there is a river here and what the implications of that river being there means for the geology. And if there's a river here, then it means there's a canyon somewhere because there's softer ground and it's worn away at it through centuries of weathering. And so there's like a Grand Canyon that they've thought of that somebody else hasn't, because that's their special interest. Somebody else is going to have not thought about any of that, but they're going to have thought about the wildlife in this area because their special interest is about zoology and nature and flora and fauna. And so they're going to have like amazing descriptions of the animals that you meet along the way and the insects that would be in this area. And they're going to describe the beetles in this area, and they're going to describe them differently in a different area because the beetles there wouldn't be the same as the beetles over there. It doesn't make any sense for them to be. you're going to get different DMs focusing on the different interests for them. So find out what your interest is and world build that. And then the rest of it can just be like, I don't know. The people go, what are the gods in this world? And you're like, whichever the Faerun gods are. I'm not interested in gods and pantheons and mythology, so I'll just take whatever the gods of Faerun is, and I'll use that. And that's perfectly fine. It's also fine to be in the middle of a game, long-running campaign, and find a desire, find a curiosity, find an interest in gods that you never had before, and then start to change it and go, you know what? I'm going to say that there's another god, actually. Maybe he's just emerged, or maybe he's been there the whole time, and I'll just retcon it. Because now I'm interested in this, and I've started getting interested in Greek mythology. So let's actually flesh out some of that. And I never really fleshed it out before, but I'm doing it now. Who cares? Chances are you're not doing this for anybody to publicly consume. Chances are most of you watching this are just playing for you and your friends, and so you are the only audience you need to worry about. And your friends are probably going to be a-okay with you retconning anything about the lore of your world as you go with it, as you world build and as you flesh it out. So don't be so hard on yourself, find what inspires you, and go with that.
All hail the algorithm gods. Comment, like, and subscribe. Ooh, ah.